And now a Zoom demonstration from Mr. Clemens. Because next week is a short week, and next week is the end of quarter 1. So Wednesday and Thursday, I'm pretty much going to be unavailable most of the day because I will be in professional development, which is basically just meetings where they talk at us. And so I won't be able to get anything done next week. So all of your stuff is due next Thursday in terms of due dates. So anyways, and then once I get through the final ecosystem diagnostic, I will let you go if you don't have any questions or if you don't want to show me your project or go through your project together, because I am here and this is our time to work together. So if you want to show me what you have any questions on the different steps you haven't turned in yet, I'm basically going to be here for you, 2 individuals. So Chase, Jasmine, thank you for showing up. Let me pull up a new screen share so it's on my desktop, and then I will pull over to the right thing here. Yoink, yoink. Now it's in front of me. Okay. So this week is all about biodiversity. This is the most important ecological concept that you're going to learn about this year. And really, it's the most important ecological concept because it's all about the different organisms working together to basically make the ecosystem work. The fewer organisms that you have in your ecosystem, the worse it will do, the worse it will fare. And that has to do with nutrient cycles. It has to do with the food chain and everything else. But anyways, point being, I went on ahead and put together a biodiversity video for you. It is 30 minutes long, so it's about a third of a normal class period. And I have this up here to give you examples of both genetic and species biodiversity. And in this video, which I am currently working on getting the timestamps now, YouTube took an hour to process this video, so I haven't had a chance to put the timestamps and chapters in yet. But there are 6 questions for you to answer. And you will notice on the screen, this just says question 1, and it says in the video. I've had a lot of problems with kids not actually looking or reading at the material I give them, and then they just come in and try to answer the question without actually reading. So I'm getting kind of tired of people just like BSing the answers. So I didn't put the questions in here. You got to get the questions out of the video, and I'm not going to tag the questions. You got to find them. So that way you're actually watching the videos. Because just to show you guys, because I think you guys think I'm fibbing, the video I did on ecological roles has had 20 views, and I have 100 students. The one on relationships, ecological relationships, got 17 views. So no one's reading the materials or watching materials I'm putting out for you guys. They're just going through and answering the questions. So that's why I did that. And it's not to be annoying. It's just because I'm really trying to get you guys to interact and engage with this content. So anyways, this is the video. Like I said, it's 30 minutes. When you're done, answer those questions, you just hit submit and you should be good to go for that. And I will get you a grade on that one fairly quick, because I am basically going to take a look to make sure that you did your best on the questions, and I will give you participation points for doing your best. If you give me 1-sentence answers, though, I'm going to take points off. Just keep that in mind. Okay, the only other thing you have to do this week, you have 2 other things to do this week. You have a Labster on biodiversity. So I would recommend doing the biodiversity video assignment first, then move on to the Labster, which grades things for you automatically. So you'll know what you got on this when you finish. And then the field investigation. This is the last field investigation for you, and it is a biodiversity survey. And I wanted to go through this with everyone who is here today because this might get confusing. So just kind of follow along with me. I'll go through it real quick. I'm writing down Juan's name so I remember to give him points for showing up today. Okay, so your biodiversity survey. Again, biodiversity is just the different species in an ecosystem, the total number of species in an ecosystem. We can get more detailed on what biodiversity is but we'll just leave it at that for now. What you're going to be doing is going out to your ecosystem and doing a biodiversity survey using the camera of a smartphone or a regular, whatever thing that can take photos. You're going to take a biodiversity survey using that. Since we're not together, since I can't set this up for you, since I can't help walk you through this and help you identify the creatures and organisms that you find, we have to do a shortcut. So normally this isn't how you would do a biodiversity survey. This is kind of like the quarantine edition biodiversity survey. You are going to walk in this pattern. So you're going to find a spot in your ecosystem and you're going to walk in this pattern. You notice it's a box with a cross through it. And you are going to walk 50 paces north and you're going to be looking down at the ground and up at the sky. Anytime you see a bird, you see a bug, a different plant you haven't seen yet, a different type of grass in front of you, whatever, you're going to take a photo. You're only going to take a photo of it one time. So don't keep taking photos of the same type of grass as you're going. So if you've got, it should be easy to tell which type of grass it is. They all look different, I promise. So you're going to take a picture below you. Boom. Okay, here's this type of grass. Boom. Oh, here's a dandelion. Boom. Oh, here's some crabgrass. Boom. And you're just going to keep taking a photo every, as you're going along, every time you see something different. Then once you walk your 50 paces north, you're going to walk 50 paces west, and you're going to repeat the same process. Don't take duplicate photos. So don't take photos of the same thing twice. I'm going to keep saying that. Okay. Then you're going to go south, then you're going to go east. So you make your box, and then you're going to run from one corner to another, and then from one corner to another. So you're trying to get an idea of everything that's living in this box, basically, but this is kind of the faster way to do it, okay? All right. Then all you have to do is come in here and fill out this information. So total number of species, just count the number of photos you took. So if you're only taking a photo of each species one time, by the time you get done with your photo taking and you're walking in that pattern, all you have to do is count the number of photos, then you know the number of species. So it's a shortcut. Then the only thing you have to do after that is count up the number of plant species you found, insect, animal, decomposers. So maybe you're walking around, you find like 15, 20 different species of plants. While you're looking down at the ground, you find like 1 or 2 species of mushroom, and you see like a roly-poly. So you'd have 3 species of decomposers. Maybe you saw a bird flying overhead. Okay, you got 1 animal species and however many bugs you find during that time. The whole point is just to get an idea of what's living in your ecosystem. Once you have finished that, you're going to look to see, was there any particular organism that dominated your landscape? So what I mean by that is if you go out to, say, a baseball field, there's one type of organism pretty much growing there, and that's tall fescue grass. That dominates the entire ecosystem. So you would write that down. If you are seeing a lot of honeysuckle and you saw it over and over and over again, boom, that's what's dominating your ecosystem. You want to write about it, okay? It's fairly straightforward, but it can be confusing because I know I have a lot of instructions here. So I wanted to go through this with you very quickly. Okay, and then finally, and look, I'm almost done talking, don't worry. Finally is next week's part of the project, which is the final ecosystem analysis. This you cannot do and turn in until you finish all of the other parts of this project. If you turn this in and you're missing one of the other field investigations, I will not grade this. I will send it back to you and have you redo it. In order to answer these questions, you have to have completed all of the different parts of your field investigations. This is supposed to be the culmination of your project. These are not one-sentence answers. Every one of these questions should have at least a paragraph, and you need to be using information from your previous field investigations to answer these questions. You are basically taking all of the information you've gathered and you're trying to analyze it to determine if you have a healthy ecosystem. And each of these questions are intended to tease out the details on that. The final slide, you'll see this little tree emoji here that I added in. You're going to slide this over to wherever you think your ecosystem lies on this scale. So just a simple 1 to 10 scale. 1 being this is the worst ecosystem I've ever seen. There's barely anything growing here. It might as well be Chernobyl. To this ecosystem is flourishing. It's totally a 10. It's like the rainforest down in the Amazon, okay? So somewhere in between there. No one should have a 10 and no one should have a 1. It should be somewhere in between. And you're going to have to, once again, justify your answers with stuff that you found, okay? So this is the last part, and this is worth the most amount of points as well. So all of your field investigations combined up to this point, all 4 of them, will be worth the same amount of points as this final ecological assessment. And that's because this ecological assessment really makes you think about everything you've done and studied thus far. So it's a pretty hefty step. So this is going to be worth basically about 60 test points once it's all said and done. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to do here. So I take that back. It'll be worth 50. Each one of these slides is 10 points. Okay? All right. That is what we are getting done between now and the end of Q1. Notice up here for the week ahead, I apparently didn't post it. I'll get that up there for you. I apologize. For the week ahead, the only thing you have to do next week is the final ecosystem analysis. That's it. That's all you have for next week. The reason is October 28th is the final day that I will accept work from Q1. So any missing assignment that is not turned in as of October 28th, I will no longer accept, and it will remain a 0 in the gradebook. So before you freak out, because I know that might cause some of you stress, keep in mind that each week I only give about 3 hours of work. 3 times 7 is 21 hours. That is 2 school days. So if you were to sit down from 8 o'clock to like 4 o'clock for 2 days, you could legitimately finish every single thing that I have given you if you haven't done a single thing in my class yet. So don't freak out, but also know you have a week and a half, 10 days before everything is due, okay? After that, the new policy, I know some of you read the email, some of you didn't. The new late work policy, this is gonna be true for all freshman classes across the board because all of your freshman teachers have been talking. The new late work policy from here on out is that you have 1 week within the due date. So if I assign something and it is due on November 2nd, it's late after November 2nd, but you have until November 9th to turn it in. If you don't get it to me after November 9th, 1 week after the due date, I will not accept that late work. There are exceptions. So let's say Chase, he's outside, he's doing his field investigation, and he's attacked by a bear and he's in the hospital for a week. Okay, all he has to do is email me and say, hey, Mr. Clemens, I lost my arm to a bear attack and I won't be able to get this assignment into you within that deadline. I will extend it in that case. But you need to have a good excuse. It can't just be, hey, I've been chilling and watching Netflix until 2 in the morning every day, and I didn't get to your assignment. That's not gonna fly. So if you need to get a hold of me because you're not gonna be able to make that 7-day deadline after the due date, do so before the end of that due date. If it comes November 10th and you never contacted me and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't do this assignment, I better email them, it ain't gonna work, okay? I'm not doing this to be mean, but I am doing this so that A, everyone's staying current with your work. I'm trying to provide some structure. Structure is something that all of you guys basically said you needed from school in the survey at the end of the year last year and the surveys that have gone out this year. Everyone's saying you need structure. Well, structure is restriction by definition. So I am starting to tighten things down to get you guys used to getting back in the flow of school. It's not to be mean, really, honestly. I'm not mad at you guys in any way, shape, or form. But we do need to be a lot better at getting our stuff in. If you've read the emails I've sent out recently, I still have 21% of my students who have never turned in a single assignment. And if you look at my overall percentages right now, 38% of my students are passing, and that's all because of late work. People just aren't turning things in. And I would like to say that I would like to give you guys less, but 3 hours a week is about as much as I can cut it down. If you think about how long you're in my class every week, we do a lot more than that. So I'm trying to cut it down bare bones as much as I can. You guys basically got like the 7th grade version of ecology this quarter because we had to cut so much out. So anyways, I just want to justify and make sure you guys understand these aren't like easy decisions on my part. Okay. Let me check to make sure I went through everything with you. Does anyone have any questions while I'm looking through my agenda here? Okay. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to stay on here for another 5 minutes. If you would like to go through any part of your project while I am on, feel free to stay on, and I'll go through stuff with you and walk through your project. If you don't, I will see you guys in probably 2 weeks, because remember, I won't be here next week due to conferences and the end of quarter.